When you think Texas, I bet the first thing that comes to mind is solar energy. Welcome to the Goodish news channel. I'm Ashley, your professional pessimist. In an effort to be more optimistic, I'm bringing you news that doesn't suck. It can seem like we're in a perpetual cycle of doom scrolling and depressing information, but for the next few minutes, we're going to pretend like none of that is happening. This week, I'm going to bring you a story about some solar sheep. You heard that right. A sunfish in Japan that just needed a friend, and a once-in-a-century discovery in Pompeii. Texas might just be going from oil country to solar country with the help of some fluffy friends. SB Energy is running a massive 900 megawatt solar facility that spans across 4,000 acres. With those 4,000 acres of
pure solar power
comes 4,000 acres of grass. Look, I know it sounds like a stupid problem, but somebody's got to keep the grass down. It would be one thing if it were just an open field, but these fields are covered in solar equipment. It's not as simple as going over it with a lawnmower. Not only that, but it seems a little weird for a solar company to be using gas-guzzling machinery to take care of their grass problem. So what's a solar cowboy to do? Turn to sheep, obviously. J.R. Howard runs a company called Texas Solar Sheep. He contracts with solar companies to maintain the grass around their solar equipment. The solar industry has made huge growth over the last few years, while the sheep industry has struggled a little bit. However, the solar fields brought an unlikely boost to some sheep farmers. Howard started his company in 2021, and it has grown to an operation of more than 8,000 sheep and 26 employees. Solar fields require large areas of flat land, which is also ideal for grazing animals. While at first glance it might look like the two industries would be competing for land, it turns out it can be a symbiotic relationship. Unlike traditional lawnmowers, sheep can easily get under and get close to the solar equipment without risk of damaging it or themselves. They're happy to graze all day, and an added bonus is the solar panels provide shade for the sheep. An aquarium in Japan closed for a 6-month renovation, but one of its residents wasn't very happy about it. The aquarium's sunfish stopped eating and was acting sick soon after the closure. The staff assumed the fish had parasites or digestive problems, so they tried everything to treat it, but nothing seemed to help. A staff member suggested that maybe the fish was lonely since no one was visiting the aquarium anymore. This particular sunfish is known to be curious and would swim up to visitors to get a better look. The staff was skeptical about the loneliness theory, but since they tried everything else, they figured it couldn't hurt. They made cardboard cutouts of people, dressed them up with some clothes, and set it all up in front of the fish's tank. The sunfish is the largest bony fish in the world and tops out at 5,000 pounds. Talk about a heavyweight champion. The aquarium sunfish is much smaller, however, at about 66 pounds and 31 inches in length. But they can reach up to 10 feet in length, but it's often taller than it is long. It can get up to 14 feet from fin to fin. The sunfish can be found across the globe in tropical and temperate waters. It eats jellyfish and other squishy foods, but it's impervious to the jelly's stings, thanks to a mucus-like lining in the digestive tract. I bet you weren't counting on hearing the word mucus-like today, were you? While this fish is built like a truck, it certainly doesn't drive like one. The sunfish tops out at about 2 miles an hour, so they won't be breaking any speed records anytime soon. The aquarium sunfish seems to be back to its old self and has resumed its normal behaviors, which is good because we had a real-life pout-pout fish situation going on there for a minute. And if you don't know what the pout-pout fish is, well, I guess that means you don't have young children at home, and more power to you.
Blub, blub, blub.
On this episode of the Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous of Pompeii.
It's another dazzling Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
Archaeologists have unearthed a 2,000-year-old private bathhouse. The bathhouse is part of a larger villa and includes hot, warm, and cold rooms, a changing room, and a plunge pool. It's possible that this is the largest private bathhouse ever discovered in Pompeii, and has been called a once-in-a-century discovery. It was designed to host up to 30 people, so you know things got weird. It's likely that some pretty dope parties went down here, but it's also likely that some important business deals and political maneuvering occurred here as well. The bathhouse also features some amazing artwork and a mosaic floor that has been well preserved, thanks to all the volcanic rock and ash. The same rock and ash that completely destroyed the civilization, but that's beside the point. The complex also featured indoor plumbing. Pipes and water taps are still intact. As I mentioned earlier, this bathhouse is just part of a larger residence which has been excavated over the last 2 years. It included a large banquet hall complete with hand-painted murals just off of the bathhouse. Traditionally, guests would make their way through the rooms of the bathhouse from hottest to coldest. Lots of rubbing with oils went on. And then they'd finish it off with a meal in the banquet hall. They better feed you after all that hot and cold nonsense. Clearly, this property didn't belong to some Joe Schmo. Whoever owned it was loaded. An elite, a 1%er, an aristocrat, an A-lister. You get the idea. They more than likely used their residence to flex their monetary and political power. I guess not much has changed nearly 2,000 years later.
This place is ugly anyway. You and me.
If you're looking for more good news in your life, check out my video from last week, where I discussed some moments of hope that have come out of California, a tiny house's trip to space, and an ancient discovery in Denmark. If you've made it this far, please consider subscribing. I would greatly appreciate it, and we can avoid all the bad news together.